Good morning. Welcome to Radio Maria Ireland. Thank you for your company today. Father Eamonn with you as always for our Chatechesis moment here between 11:15 and 12. Usually every day except for Sundays and Mondays. Sunday always, of course, the day for Mass. So that takes priority naturally. So it's great to have your company. Waving a shout out to everybody on Facebook and YouTube. Good to have you with us. And if you're watching live and looking in live, as some of you indeed like to do, you will know I have a guest with me other than Roisin. So Conor Dean is joining me today. Good morning, Conor.
Good morning. Pleased to meet you here. Thank you very much for having me.
Lovely. You have taken the place of Roisin, our esteemed godmother. I would describe Roisin as Mary Fitzpatrick would be our grandmother of the radio. And Roisin is usually with me on a Saturday morning. We have a bit of back and forth, and she's well known to viewers certainly and to listeners on a Saturday morning as the scone maker supreme. Hers are the fresh scones every day. So, and the little gansies she wears and models for us on the radio too.
Very good.
For those who have viewing access, let's say. So we're going to have an interesting conversation today, and we would love for you to participate in that. I have a few little things maybe to share as well as part of our Chatechesis today. It's a lovely moment, Conor, when I just do a sort of informal dialogue and chat and chance to kind of develop maybe elements of the faith in a very sort of gentle way, not a lecture style.
Sure.
But conversationally, and sharing stories and insights and inviting listeners to engage too. So you know the drill, you know the numbers. If you want to leave a comment on the social media, you can certainly do that, and do so even if you're watching later or listening later. That invitation is always open to you. The text number here 089 467 2000, and Táisé Imalava Agum. I'm holding the studio phone right here, and I will get those right into my hand. If you want to text us, +353 if you're in the north or outside of Ireland, of course, 89467 2000. If you want to give a call on the phone here, we have our young people manning the offices here, would gladly answer the phone. Thomas, of course, is downstairs volunteering today, as he always does as well. And that number 014123456. Again, +353 if you're in the north or outside the country, and 141234456. Couldn't be easier, really.
Very good.
And please email us info@radiomaria.ie if you want to send us in an email, and I get those either to my phone or to the studio phone. They'll all come travelling in. These gadgets are great. It's a sort of one-stop shop, so everything works. We don't let it go too far with it. So very good. So my guest today, Conor Dean, welcome. Would you like to do a little intro, or will I do the intro for you?
You do the intro, please. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Well, I met Conor during the week through the auspices of our gallant president and volunteer, of course, John Carlin.
Yep.
And John is involved in his spare time among a plethora of a zillion other things. How that man gets time to divide himself up, I don't know. But with the Knights of St Columba.
That's right.
So you are a knight, and I think you have more than just a title of a knight. I don't understand the structure of it, but your official title with the Knights?
I'm a Grand Knight.
A Grand Knight,
yeah,
okay. So you're a Grand Man.
Yeah, a Grand Knight. Yeah. So
I've heard a Supreme Knight.
There is a Supreme Knight, but it's kind of, these are titles. I mean, the Knights of St Columbanus are 100 years old now. Over 100 years old. Older than the state. So there you go. And they were established, actually, I'm sure you're aware, they were established to help a burgeoning middle class Catholic men basically who are in their faith and were trying to make it in the world, but were being shut out by the banks at the time, and and then as well professional classes weren't letting them, opening the doors for them. So they decided to get together, and there was a number of things for faith, formation, and fraternity. Those are the 3 F's basically, and they've done some amazing work over the years, and it's great to be part of them, to be able to. So I mean,
faith, fellowship,
formation, and fraternity, or fellowship.
Okay,
yeah, fellowship if you like, as well. But
and it's men. It's a men's organization.
It's a men's organization, absolutely, and yeah, it's there's the Christmas Day dinner is one of their big days where we help the homeless and the destitute and the lonely, basically, and anybody else in between who'd like to come in to the RDS. He used to be in the Mansion House and would like to be fed and have a bit of crack, and there's entertainment and everything else. It's a free Christmas dinner that we lay on every year, and we have chefs who come in and give up their time voluntarily to do the same thing with us, and we serve them. We serve the poor of Dublin basically on that day, because no other charity is available or anywhere else to take them. So, or wasn't before, like, so that's and that's been going for a very long time. Fergal Quinn of Super Quinn fame,
famous name, yes.
Yeah, there you go. He used to be a big supporter of the event, and he used to provide the food for it as well. So that'll be some of the work that they do, you know.
Great. But listen, when it comes to the history and the presence of the Knights, now in my own ministry down south in Cloyne, this was Cork, you know, I've certainly come across and heard of the Knights of St Columba, but something that I would have very little interaction with. And I think it sort of ties in with the whole philosophy and approach of the Knights, that I don't suppose that you're about trumpeting your arms before you.
No, it's actually very much treasure in heaven, Father Eamonn. It's very much about even this is kind of had to be very, had to think about carefully about
Stepping
being
out of the comfort zone, kind of.
Exactly, yeah, because it's very much about at the core of our ethos is some people outside or who wouldn't understand us or misunderstand us would say they're about ganging up on people. No, it's not about that at all.
Yeah, or a kind of secret, what they call those, some of those
secret organisations
or whatever. Yes,
yeah. No, we don't do the brainwashing. So
sure.
So no, what we are about is actually doing good in secret or discreetly, and to try and help people. In faith, men of faith. I know of one instance recently where a man of faith, he's not a brother, and he was looking to do something in particular, and certain doors were open for that man to help him achieve what he wanted to do, for example, and it was a very good thing he wanted to do, and that doesn't get discussed at all, and that's the beauty of being able to, when it's within our gift to do something, we like to organise and sort things out for people, if that's possible.
And Knights, I suppose, tapping into the idea of chivalry and,
very much so,
ultimately virtue, I presume.
Please God, hopefully, Not always, but we do our best. We're sinners like everybody else, but it's just... you got to do your best, and that's the thing. I mean, a lot of it really, if I'm honest, is about men, very good men and well-intentioned men who want to get together and walk the walk together, and have like-minded men to be able to relate, because there's so many fantastic initiatives for women in the church. But this is one place that men of faith can gather and come together and find like-minded men to pray with and to be formed with and fight a little bit with. That's okay too, like brothers do.
I would say fight in both positive and less positive senses.
Exactly, absolutely,
argue over things as men are wont to.
Absolutely, but I mean, you know what? We grow from that. We grow from all of that, and it's about growing together, and we do things together. So there you go, and it is. In my own council, we've got some very good men involved. I've a retired Garda. I've engineers, accountants. We've professional classes through to non-professional classes. It's the key thing is, do you have faith? Are you are you a man of honor? Have you got do you love Our Lady and do you love Jesus? And if so, let's get together,
Sure, and there's a great need, I would say, for a reassertion of the virtue of manliness and manhood properly understood. Yeah. We're in a culture and an environment now that,
that's been stolen. They're trying to steal the ground on that. Yeah.
Correct. They've kind of, effeminized, or there's another word for that. Kind of robbed men, emasculated men, I suppose, a little bit.
Absolutely.
The culture. I was speaking about that at Mass this morning, because the Gospel and the first reading were in relation to the beauty of a wife in a good home, and the idea how a good mother and a good wife can melt the heart of her husband and her man to be the man he's meant to be.
Absolutely.
That it's not a power game, it's not a power trip, and it's not about women or men becoming more feminine and women becoming more masculine. it's about both occupying their respective roles and their respective.
And there's a synergy then, a natural synergy then, because one balances the other out very nicely, as the Lord wanted it to be, and then the children benefit.
Correct.
So,
yes, yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
And all the sociology and all the statistics would say where a father is, fulfilling his role with his weaknesses or whatever in the home of the family, the children, stand a far better chance of a balanced and secure upbringing, as much as becoming responsible citizens themselves.
True, absolutely, and feel the whole thing is the foundations have been there for them to go into the world. I completely agree with that, yeah.
Just pedaling back a bit on the history, because it's interesting that the Knights of St Columba are stronger in the north of Ireland than in the south.
That's true.
And is that to do with the dynamic or the history, or maybe the politics a little bit?
I think I think because wherever there's been an oppression, I think, and people have had to fight for their faith more, perhaps. And certainly you've got the Orange Order, for example, and what have you. So they've organised there. So
and that's kind of men, totally men as well, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. So I think the idea is, while the Knights have never set themselves up as kind of like against, the Orange Order or whatever order organisation, they just set themselves up basically to help their own and people within the faith, basically. So certainly within the north, I think, look, that sectarianism, that history of sectarianism is, I think it's actually helped the organisation in the north. Is probably a peculiar way to put it, but I think that would be true.
Yeah, I think Catholics were very hard done by in the midst of the Troubles and before even.
Very true.
In terms of securing employment and advancing even in their careers and so on. The Catholics were very much discriminated against in the north. I'm not sure how people or how much they're aware of it. Remember, we did a visit in one of the parishes in the north. We're going back there again, please God, soon to do a round by way of promotion, so we'll be visiting again. But I stayed with some very kind people there as part of the work, and one man, certainly, he got off on a roll of just relating, obviously wounded by this sectarianism and being discriminated against for his Catholicism and being held back in some way to career or professional growth or integrating and quite sore about it, really, and maybe rightly so.
I think that sectarianism has almost reappeared in the south now in a different way, in the sense of the secularism, basically the drive for being a far more secular society, so that to the point that you almost need to be in the closet as a Catholic if you're practicing Catholic. And I think that actually may be something that the order could seize upon, in the sense of offering men of faith and courage, basically, and conviction, somewhere to be able to gather together, and in safety. And that is something, it's a refuge in one sense, it's a safe space.
And maybe again, just dispelling the idea of a secret society like the Freemasons and all that.
No, we're not secret at all. So, I mean, we have a website and everything else, and it's I mean, it's, look, I'm here.
That's right. Camera's rolling.
Camera's rolling. So exactly. So I know. I mean, it's really very much a case of know a tree by its fruits. And I think really when you look at the work, like with the establishment of credit unions, for example, which we discussed the other day, so that's been something that was at the core of the work of the organisation, to make sure that Catholic families and working class, middle class, whatever, had access to credit. Basically, that was very important, through to educational work, through to but so much that actually does fly under the radar, in the sense that just to get things done at a parish level, and really we're there to support our bishops and at the service of the bishops, and that's in our constitution, actually. And when we join, we take an oath to serve our Lord, and through our church and through our bishops. We take that very, very seriously, actually. So
sure. And what is the sort of standard commitment? Say, I presume maybe there's meetings or gatherings, or there's functions, or there's some
usually it depends on the council. In our council, for example, what we do is, there's a number of things we like to do. Is we like to pray together at least. Certainly during the lockdowns, we were praying at least 3 times a week, 2-3 times a week on Zoom or whatever it was. Like a lot of people in the faith, I imagine. But we usually met at least once a month to pray, just to pray together, right? And then the other time would be, say, a 45-minute, an hour meeting. But we usually begin our own meeting with a mass, if we can get a priest. If we can get a priest.
Arm's been twisted here. Sure.
So if we can get a priest, and we did have a chaplain in our own council, but obviously priests are busier and everything else. So what it is that the then we'll have, say, we'll have the meeting, which is to discuss things, but that we've been discussing together on WhatsApp or whatever it is. So we've been, issues that have come up that we'd have all been sort of saying, look, this is where we want to focus on, this is something we want to help in, or whatever it is. And that's what happens. It's just wherever the Spirit leads us,
Yeah, great, good. And I suppose the advantage of, in terms of the fellowship, maybe to touch in on the three areas, the fellowship is healthy, I suppose, in a manly sense, in terms of fraternity and example.
Absolutely.
But I'm sure in terms of networking, there's.
Yeah. I mean, it's like there's men who'll come in and actually they'll try it out, for example, and they'll say, that's not really for me, but they'll stay in touch. Okay. And do you know what I mean? And that's completely fine. And we're not about this, like, as you say, a cult would be saying, would be very dominant and saying, you're controlling. Not at all. If you come in and you try it out, it's not for you, that's okay. But we all stay within reach of each other. And if there's something we can help each other with, absolutely. And it's, but I mean, the other thing as well is we actually have a bar, a club in the building, in our headquarters, in the basement, right? And a snooker room and everything else. So the social side is very important. Yes. Do you know what I mean? And we're just about to revamp that and redo the whole thing again. So we have something else, that there's other layers there apart from, bruising the knees and praying and so on, as they say, through to, the politics of whatever is going on within the organisation. There is actually the social aspect, and that's very important. I mean, we did, during the lockdown, we did a music bingo together session, for example.
Music bingo?
Music bingo.
How does that work?
Yeah. Well, you have to be quite it's all Zoom and everything else, and you have to, you get a scratch card and all this kind of stuff, and you understand what your which music genre it is and all this kind of stuff, and everyone, so
it's not karaoke, so
no. No,
that might be down the basement. The man cave.
Man cave, yeah. So it's social is very important as well.
Yes. So the fellowship of fraternity,
yeah,
and if it's based on faith, then it's going to reap benefits in terms of the sort of the mutual example that comes from that, and just the.
I mean, the example, I'll just go a bit further with that, which is that we've very different personalities in our council, okay, and that's real diversity. But the fact is that because of the faith, that is the deepest common communion, right, that we can have with each other. And that overcomes the superficial issues or whatever it is, largely, not always. And sometimes personalities do kind of flare up and whatever, but we work through those, as brothers do, kind of thing, and we help each other and so on. But that's because we all have a common goal of serving our Lord,
Sure. Yeah, I was at the Youth 2000 conference there recently, the festival down in Clongowes Wood, and it was interesting. They make a point during the course of that conference to separate the young men from the young women, and address them separately as well, which is interesting.
Idea,
so that they're able to zoom in on the concerns and the struggles, let's say, that men are likely to have.
Sure.
That women simply, and women will clearly have their own. And we just, it's good that we separate and segregate, as it were. And who was the priest who spoke to them now? He's the man in Athlone, whose name just escapes me at the minute, but he's a man's man.
Oh, really? Yeah.
He doesn't pull any punches.
Like John Carlin, man's man.
Yeah, if ever there was a man's man, yes. He fits the mould perfectly.
Brilliantly, yeah.
But his name just escapes me now at the minute, but he does videos and everything online. But, he didn't put a tooth on things. The whole question of men living up to their role as providers, as protectors and is willing to battle, to stand in the front line and defend their women folk, defend the vulnerable, the poor, children, to provide for, to you know, and it is a bit of a martyrdom.
There is, I think there is, yeah, I think that's true. And the dying to yourself and so on, and putting other people before yourself, that's extremely important. I've seen some men who have, within the group and outside, who have, you know, really stood up and put their necks on the block, basically, for what they believe, and are very uncompromising when it comes to that. And that sense of uncompromising is, you know, where might elsewhere create, you know, clashes, if you like. That's good, because that means they've got the fire, you know, and it's a righteous fire, if you know what I mean, in there. There's one particular brother I'm thinking of, and he's in the medical profession, and he was outraged with all and incensed, obviously, with with the abortion laws and what have you. And yeah, I mean, he gets very cross about the whole thing. So, and that's good. I mean, in a sense, you know what I mean.
A righteous anger, a kind of a passion for the truth.
For the truth, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
and it strikes me that Catholicism, I don't know if there are any other faiths that, maybe Islam has a certain, but the women tend to be, it seems to me anyway, I'm not no expert on it, but in a sort of subservient role altogether. But Catholicism seems to be very virile and fertile, and it's honourable in the sense of chivalrous, back to the whole question of knights, which is, people might balk a little bit of that sort of military type, you know, terminology. But it's intended to be the idea of the knight in shining armour who's riding the white horse and who rescues the damsel in distress. It's the fairy tale kind of stuff. But it seems to be very healthy, and that's why they write these fairy tales and why they produce these movies of superheroes.
And it appeals to everybody, basically. It has an appeal, absolutely. And I agree with you.
Yeah. And I think that's where all these superhero movies are coming from. One of my favourites actually is what's his name? the Incredibles, you know, Bob Parr. I just love that guy because he's kind of a man's man, and he gets it eventually. His wife teaches him a few lessons along the way.
That's very much a caricature of the.
But Bob Parr is a perfect name. He's just your average Bob, and he's a Parr guy, and he's, you know, and all the superheroes kind of fall by the wayside. There's a lawsuit against them all, and there's one perfect scene for me from a Catholic point of view. It must have been some Catholic writers in it. Like, where are all the superheroes now? And the camera, as it were, shows all these people walking down the street.
Yes,
the ordinary people. And like the Knights of St Columba would be, again, I presume, just drawing from people of just goodwill. And
very much so, yeah. And fundraising and so on for things like. I started actually, I'm with them 14 years now. One of the first things I was doing was chugging for money for a hospice outside, then I think it was Super Quinn then, and Sutton in the lashing rain. You know what I mean? That was my introduction to them. But yeah, they did some great things, and they continue to. Now we're smaller, but that makes us more nimble, and it means we can do much more as well. I think a lot quicker.
Sure.
You know.
Sure. Yeah. Good. Well, we might take a small pause and come back and talk about the faith and the formation side of things, and any little events that are coming up, and maybe how people might get in touch. So listen, if you'd like to learn a bit more about the Knights of St Columba, Conor Dean is with me here now. We're having this chat, and he's quite happy to take any questions, I'm sure.
Absolutely. If you have any questions, please do give them thick and fast. It'd be great to hear from you.
Good. So the number 089 467 2000. Again, drop a comment here on social media and we can pick that up too. And if you want to give a call, 01 412 456. So we have a nice piece of news now, Mark Forrest, beautiful voice, Make My Heart a Dwelling Place. And I have a new little endorsement from Margaret Griffin that I put together there from one of her shows back along. So we'll have a listen to those, take a little pause. Thanks, Thomas, and we'll be back with you very shortly.
Thank you.
Your dwelling place, a temple just for you, a consecrated resting place, a vessel ever true. Make my heart a fire with the brightness of of your Son. Make my heart a dwelling place for the Holy One. Make my heart your dwelling place, a temple just for you, a consecrated resting place, a vessel ever true. Make my heart a fire with the brightness of your Son. Make my heart a dwelling place for the Holy One. Make my heart a dwelling place for the Holy One.
I think probably one of the loveliest things about Radio Maria Ireland is that it's like a two-way means of conversation. You know, we're always encouraged on Radio Maria to get involved in the conversations, which is great. And I've found that through this, I have grown in my faith and also in the art of communicating my faith to others, which is great because I've learned so much. And I suppose the other thing is that now I pray the Divine Office every morning, which is great. You've got different things at different times that you tune into. So it might be the Rosary in the evening, the Divine Office in the morning. So it's like programming your day to give you some time back to the Lord, which I think is terrific. So that's why I really, really like it.
I think we're back on air here again.
Okay.
Very good. Lovely. Thanks for that. And thanks for your company here on Radio Maria. Nice to have you with us. Conor Dean is with me from the Knights of St Columbanus, and great to have you with us, Conor. And maybe just sharing one or two little texts. This one goes back to what I was chatting about yesterday as well, but there was a lady sent in a query in relation to one of the Psalms, and I'd been chatting about a lady previously who was back to the idea of sort of manhood and masculinity, but questioning the justice of God the Father relative to, she understood, the mercy of God the Son. So Father's being, as in Jesus, as it were, standing as divine mercy between the justice of the and in fear of the Father as a result.
Wow.
And I was trying to just mitigate a bit of that understanding by understanding that Christ is again, in his manhood, which is a very key thing when we're speaking about all things manly and knights and so on, that he laid down his life for us. This is a kind of manhood that seeks to bring mercy, like the prodigal father. Same sort of idea, that proper understanding. But John and Helen just texted in, and we're just exploring that question a little bit further, and the idea of the translation of the Psalms and the way we can interpret them. That because they're written obviously originally in Hebrew, that there's nuances there that mightn't always be understood as well.
And the Jewish tradition, I think, is there'd be a bluntness, do you know what I mean, there that wouldn't necessarily translate, or we'd be the Celtic thing would be very much euphemistic and going around things and trying to be soft and things. So
Interesting,
yeah. I think that's...
they'd be more direct.
Yeah, they were far more direct, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting too. So John and Heather were suggesting indeed Ida Tien is having, Mitch Packer, I think she had mentioned there, as a good sort of way of unpacking some of that in more detail. It needs good scripture scholars really to enter into those things a bit more deeply. So very good. So maybe just sort of continue our little exploration in relation to understanding it. Johnson in the text here, a great place for Catholic men to meet, to pray and socialise in a Catholic environment free from any worldly influences, genuine friendship and good crack. He says, well done, Conor, and all the brothers, keep the faith.
Thank you very much.
Well
That's
done,
very
John.
good.
Thanks for the thumbs
Thank you,
up
John.
there.
Yeah.
And maybe we can take off on that idea of the faith element and the formation in that.
So one of the things we're doing very soon is we're going to be doing a called and gifted program with Father Jerry Campbell, who's from Armagh Archdiocese. He's a VG there. And
Vicar General, in case anybody's worried.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
Keep going, yeah.
So basically, one of the things we're going to be doing anyway is a call and gifted program to help men understand and discern, but not just us. We're inviting people in as well outside. So that's that's the whole thing about not being cult or whatever. They're very open, and so we're bringing in others who may be leaders. Maybe they're working in parishes, maybe they're working in. I would suggest even in the youth ministry or whatever it is, that to help them discern where is Jesus calling them, what are the gifts that the Lord has given to them, to allow them to play to their strengths. So maybe there are people out there with healing, gifts of healing, for example. Maybe there are people out there who have gifts of preaching, intercession, whatever it is, or teaching, and to be able to help them understand where are their gifts so they can play to their strengths, rather than trying to work really hard at something that they shouldn't be doing at all because it's not where they're being called. Identifying what's a green product and what's not. But we as Catholics should really, I think, be only backing things that are, effectively Catholic and, are life-giving, as opposed to supporting things that are anything to do with the culture of death. As Pope John Paul would say. So really just things like that, and being able to understand where, if we actually begin to break this down and unpack it, as you say earlier on, that we would actually understand where our power is as citizens and as Catholics within society, that we're not as disabled as we seem to think we are, but this seminar is about empowering Catholics and giving them the tools to understand where we can actually work within a society, and actually, I mean, after all, the politicians have to listen, so and react. So, and if we organise ourselves, and that's hopefully something we're going to see after this seminar. So that's the 1st of October, and it'll be we'll be putting it up on Eventbrite and tickets and everything else. Now, spaces are limited, so it's first come, first serve.
Sure. But the headquarters, Eli Place?
Eli House is the headquarters, but we have...
Where in Dublin?
Okay, it's just off St Stephen's Green, and it looks onto St Stephen's Green. In fact, during our meetings, we would look down onto St Stephen's Green. The Shelburne is around the corner, and members have free parking in town, in the headquarters.
Where do I sign?
Yeah. It's a big plus, actually. It's a big advantage, to be honest with you. And as I was saying earlier on...
The Lewis goes into St Stephen's Green, in case anybody's worried.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well said. Thank you. And then as well, there's other houses around and other properties for meeting houses, basically, for the brothers around the country. Another one we have is a thing called Brú Columbanus down in Cork.
Okay.
And that was built by brothers, an amazing entrepreneurial initiative by brothers there, where they took on a property, right? And they effectively were able to approach the government, get it co-funded, right? And now the mortgage is completely cleared. But the point of Brú Columbanus was to allow families of children, parents of children, to be able to have accommodation that they could stay near the hospital when the children were quite sick and being treated in the hospital.
Okay. I didn't know that was a Knight's initiative. That's
there
good, because I've heard of it. It's just across the road from the hospital CUH there in Cork and Wilton.
Yes, that's right.
People are thrilled with it to be able to have some place they can stay near their family. If they're out the country, they have long distance travel.
Again, that goes back to the flying under the radar, doing, do you know what I mean, in the sense that discreet, not secret, discreet, as you were saying earlier on. In terms of formation, so yeah, we're going to be doing, hopefully in the new year then, formation on the Word, Divine Word. Then as well, we're going to be doing formation on a Catholic Alpha, how to deliver that, with a view that we're going to hopefully open up Eli House to bring in parishes and pastoral councils who'd like to get this formation, that we'd facilitate that in later on, you know.
Good, yes. Well, today being the feast of St. Monica, I'm sure this is a good news story for mothers and for daughters maybe, and for sisters and wives.
Yeah.
To know that, like, if their husband is suitably occupied in something by way of, again, this self-giving, that can only bring benefits back home into the family.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I couldn't have said that better, actually. I think that's brilliant, what you just said there, Father. And I think that when a man gets to realise his potential, that's what we're about, is helping men realise their potential in the Lord. That's why we're doing this Called and Gifted program, to help ourselves, all of us, understand where should we be going, what roles should we be getting involved with, and then occupy those roles basically within our own groupings, but also externally to the order as well, within parish settings, within whatever. Maybe it's that we should be on the radio or something like that, you know. Maybe you've got a great face for radio, as you know, some people do, you know.
Unfortunately, the cameras are always rolling.
Yeah,
so.
I know, that's me doomed.
That's right. But maybe it's a little shout out to the St. Monicas who may well be listening in and have maybe at times lost hope in their men, whether it be the son or the husband, because I like St. Monica, it was also her husband, Patricius, that she was including in her prayers for years, and her tears, and Augustine, whom she both brought back to the faith by her tears and her intercession. So that, you know, again, if you have a husband or a brother or I don't know, who you might like to see taking a step forward in faith or in fellowship formation. And
the other thing as well, actually, is that some men have actually come into us and have discovered they have a vocation, and then gone to the seminary, you know.
Okay, interesting too.
Yeah,
and that's a constant feature, I think, of those who are called to religious life and the priesthood. Once they get engaged and involved in something that's self-giving, the next obvious step is the gift of self. In ministry and that, yeah.
But you know much better than I.
A little bit of course. I've been around a small, but again, like coming back to the question of, you know, enhancing life in the home and marriage and the family, again, where there's a father who leads by example, by way of going that extra distance and serving others. Terrific formation for children.
I think so. I mean, even like my own children will say to me, "Dad, when are you going in to help the poor on Christmas Day?" So the presents will be done to a certain extent on Christmas morning. Then the children kick me out.
Wow.
You know?
Okay. Yeah.
So and it's great because, you know, you'd be thinking, "God, this is lovely. I could stay here, you know, with the family." So it's great that they remind me, and off you go. And that's the case for many knights who've helped out over the years. And I mean, a lot of them would say, you know, really, when they're very small, no, don't do that, but because they don't understand. Certainly when they get older, yeah, absolutely, because as you say, it's a great witness.
And no doubt indeed for the wives who probably, you know, get the husbands out from under their feet, but the husband's coming back sort of happy and fulfilled, having, you know, a sense of achievement, a sense of purpose.
Very much so, yeah. I mean, even going in, even if they don't do it, even on the day, but even on the days up to, because maybe their family commitments are just so huge on the day, you know, there's a lot of work in terms of preparation, in terms of setting the place up, doing the Christmas decorations, bringing the food in, and afterwards then doing the deliveries. There's a Meals on Wheels aspect to that as well, delivering the food out to the various charities. So Peter McVerry would use the service as well, Father Peter McVerry's trust for their clients through to, I mean, there's so many, but it's very good. It's absolutely brilliant.
Sounds a little like, but it's different too, though, I'd say, the St. Vincent de Paul in its earlier days, because Frank Duff was joined the St Vincent de Paul way back, but it was men only at that time, and there was a strong spiritual component as well as the material one.
Yeah.
But the SVP has sort of drifted away, and it's more a material, less spiritual organisation, open to all and sundry now.
I think the Knights would have probably gone a bit away a little bit. I'll probably get into trouble for saying this, but I think it's finding its feet again in a big way now.
Yeah, these things always need renewing.
True. I think there's a renewal happening at the moment, and it's very refreshing to see. I mean, at the moment, I'll give you an example. I think this is okay to say this one. They have taken 26 men who are not in their faith, right, out to Medjugorje, all expenses paid, right now, and they're on pilgrimage in Medjugorje. Yeah.
Wow.
So
life-changing experience.
Please God. I would actually ask your listeners to please pray for those men. It'd be very important. So yeah, there's a huge commitment to Our Lady and to our Lord, basically, in that, and that's proof in the pudding, you know.
Well, thanks be to God. Great. And so again, is sort of being discreet about it, but not hiding the light under the bush either. There's a bit of
there's a fine line. Yeah, there is a fine line. Yeah.
That's right.
So,
but again, the faith formation,
formation, and fraternity.
Faith formation,
the
fraternity.
F's,
so they're worth remembering. Those three as the key elements of it.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to find out more, Conor.
Absolutely, we'd absolutely love to. If they want to come to yourselves here in Radio Maria and you pass the details to us, that'll be the best way to do this. And we also have a website, and if you Google the Knights of St Columbanus, the website will come up, and there's if you want to join or you want to know more about joining or get involved, please do, and go through Father Eamonn or come to the website, and there's a form there basically to be able to find out more. So we'd love to hear from you.
Good, yeah, and to be lovely to see it rekindle, as you say. And,
absolutely,
because there is a movement of those men who are, disenfranchised. That's and.
Right.
Not happy with the culture, the way it's going, this sort of emasculation that's going on, and looking for something. Like Jordan Peterson is a kind of an icon of that.
He's very good.
Because there's a huge attraction of men who are looking for truth, looking for the 12 steps or whatever he's offering. And I see the likes of Bishop Barron and other figures. The men's rosary that's been started.
I see Sheila Buff is converted. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah,
no.
He's talking about men trying to find the truth.
Well, he was the man acting as Padre Pio.
That's right.
The movie. Yes, that's right.
Because of his role, he became so convinced, right, that he's now converted to Catholicism, and Bishop Robert Barron has interviewed him about it. So, he's just said some very interesting things, and it's an interview worth catching up on.
Again, you see our faith offers, what's genuine that men
it's
need
a treasury.
And want.
It's an absolute treasury. And I mean, I was with a gentleman for business purposes in the west of Ireland, in Galway actually, and he was talking about, you're into your faith, and I said, yes, absolutely. And he was saying, well, I said, what about yourself? He said, well, I believe there's spirits and things like that. I said, why would you shortchange yourself?
That's right, yeah.
Why would you shortchange yourself?
Yeah.
Would you, I said, because the guy's a very successful businessman. I said, would you leave cash on the table? No, you wouldn't. So why would you do that with your faith?
Yeah, very good. Nice line. Good one to end on, because it's just nearly 12 now. Conor.
Wow, that flew by. That was very good.
Always
Thank you very much
thanks
for
so
having
much
me.
for joining in.
No, I appreciate it.
And the microphone is open, and it would be nice if we can have a friendship with the Knights of St Columba.
Well, we'd love that too. Absolutely,
and,
please God.
Help you forward some little bit as well.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
So well done. So it's 12 o'clock. Sorry to have to finish and close down here. You will have to come back to it another occasion, and we will, please God, too.
Please God.
So please stay with us. We're going to take our leave of the camera, but we'll stay with you on the microphone here. But first, we'll allow our bells to toll. We'll return and pray together our Angelus and Midday Prayer.